the guys will take us through this session. And I want to invite Evelyn as well as Matthew to take us through the session. Remember, if you have a question, please type it in the chat section or wait until the end of the session and you can raise your hand and ask.
Hi everyone, good morning. Welcome to today's webinar. Today we are looking at ArcGIS Open Data. We are so happy that you have found time to join us. I'll be taking you through this session together with Matthew. So my name is Evelyn Lele from Esri, Eastern Africa. And we'll also have Matthew from the ICT Authority taking us through a case study of what they've been able to do with the ArcGIS Open Data. So I just want to ask Matthew to just introduce himself. Matthew, kindly introduce yourself.
Good morning. My name is Matthew Chemoy from ICT Authority, and thanks for having me to do this session. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Matthew. So today we are looking at the ArcGIS Open Data, and the beauty with this session is that we'll actually have a case study of what the ICT Authority have been doing with the Kenya Open Data Initiative. So once again, you're most welcome to this particular session. The session is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel. That is Eastern Africa. A link will be shared to access the recording. And then in case this presentation, kindly make use of the chat section. We have our team on standby to be able to respond to any questions or engage you in the chat as we actually have this particular presentation. So once again, welcome to today's presentation, and we are looking at ArcGIS Open Data. So I'll start by just introducing us to what open data is. And even before we delve into what open data is actually a very important component of any system. So data is actually critical for decision making. We have organizations, for every organization actually, the decisions that are made are actually based on data. So data is important in making mission critical decisions. And so today we just want to look at what open data is and some of the initiatives that we actually have. So open data is data that is freely available for everyone to access, manipulate, and share. And so today we're just gonna look at what this really is and what initiatives are there. So when we talk about open data, of course, we've mentioned it's data that is available for everyone to access. So everyone here is members of the public to access, manipulate, and share. So by open data is open by default. So meaning that you don't actually have to ask for it. It's open. It's actually available. And then open data is also machine readable, meaning that it's in a format that can be retrieved. For instance, maybe a CSV format or something like that. And then when we also talk about open data, of course, we can't forget to mention that it's not subject to privacy, security, or any privilege limitation. So that's what we mainly mean by open data. And of course, the other thing is being timely, being made available as quickly as possible, as quickly as you need it, and being available at the time when you actually need it. So today we just want to look at what open data is and what ArcGIS has in terms of open data, then also look at a case study of what we've been doing, of what some of the organizations have actually been doing with data. Why do we need open data? I've mentioned that data is actually very critical additions and organizations and at various levels. So open data is actually important. One, ensuring that there's transparency. So for instance, if you're talking about government, for instance, there's need to actually increase transparency and accountability. So governments and even organizations can be accountable to the various stakeholders and even the general citizenry. So we're talking about transparency. Then we also have efficiency, and we're talking about government efficiency here. So you may realize that at the moment, like for instance, in Kenya, we have different departments, we have different ministries who are actually mandated to perform different tasks or play different roles. And most of the time you realize that there's actually a lot of duplicated roles and redundancies. So for instance, you find that this particular ministry or department is actually going out to get data sets, maybe thematic data sets, then another department will also be going out to get the same data set. So again, in the process, there will be so much resources that actually used to get those data sets. And if we have one central the ArcGIS platform is actually composed of various components. Sorry for that. Let me just share my screen again. Sorry for that. So we are back. Hope you can now hear me. So I was talking about the ArcGIS Open Data being part of the ArcGIS platform. So the ArcGIS platform is an integrated platform for creating, visualizing, and sharing data. And so what we are calling the ArcGIS Open Data is part of the ArcGIS platform, and specifically what we are calling ArcGIS Online. So with this particular platform, you're actually able to create an open data set, like what we'll actually be looking at in the case study. You're able to create an open data site and have the various data sets that the various stakeholders and the community can be able to interact with. So the ArcGIS Open Data Site is based on this platform and specifically on ArcGIS Online. So from ArcGIS Online, you're able to create an ArcGIS Open Data Site, and the information, once you have published your open data site, then members of the public can then be able to access the information that is shared within that particular platform. We'll also look at this briefly as we go into the demonstration. So the ArcGIS platform focuses on, the ArcGIS Open Data platform focuses on different areas, and I just want us to go through some of the areas that are focus of the ArcGIS Open Data platform. So one of the main areas that the platform focuses is what we are calling open standards. So ArcGIS supports very many industry standards, over 100 industry standards, including data formats, metadata, and web services. So these broad standards that are supported within the ArcGIS platform allows users to be able to incorporate various GIS informations and application, either in a web application, mobile, and various computing scenarios. So for instance, if we look at data standards, so the platform supports data standards such as KML, GeoPackages, and many other standards. Then for metadata, so metadata is mainly data describing data, mainly needed for documentation of data. So the platform also supports various metadata standards. So for instance, we have the ISO series, ISO 1900 series. So we have the FGDC, that's the Federal Geographic Data Committee standard. We have item description. We have actually most of the data of the metadata standards supported within the ArcGIS platform. Then we also have different standards for web services. So the platform also supports different different web services standards. So for instance, we have web feature services, we have web map services, coverage services, and the different types of services that we have. So on open data standards, mainly with this, then you're able to actually transfer data over the web so that you can be able to use, maybe view the maps that have been created, query information, download, and so on and so forth. So one of the main focus areas really is the open standards. Then the other area that the platform, that's the ArcGIS open data platform focuses on, is interoperability. This is really really key for information to be able to be shared and even accessed by different users. So we have different kinds of standards that are also supported here. We have standards, we have different standards for feature data. For instance, we're talking about feature layers, shape files, geodatabases, web layers, etc. Then also looking at tabular data, we have different formats that are also supported here. If you're working in Excel or CSV, we have these particular standards as well within the platform. So interoperability is really key. Then we also have RESTA as well as various 3D data standards that are supported within the ArcGIS platform. Again, the areas of focus is just ensuring that we have data interoperability. Then the area of focus for the ArcGIS open data platform is open itself. The ArcGIS platform allows you public data sets, and you want to have these data available to various stakeholders and even members of the public. The ArcGIS form supports these, and we'll be looking at these even as we go into the study. So we have Then the other bit that I want to take us through is now how to be able to create an open data site. So there are simple 3 steps that you can actually be able to use. This is the workflow for actually creating an open data site. So as I mentioned, the ArcGIS open data is part of the ArcGIS platform. So we'll actually be configuring this open data site as part of the ArcGIS online platform. So the first bit is being able to configure the open data site within ArcGIS online. So when you go to ArcGIS online, you'll be able to enable open data. So that's the first step in configuring the open data site. Then the other important bit about the ArcGIS open data is now having the data sets that you want to be featured within the open data sets in what we are calling groups. So we'll be looking at this shortly also as I go into the demo. So the next bit is being able to prepare and manage data in groups within ArcGIS Online. So within ArcGIS Online, you can actually have content organized in groups. So maybe you're looking at thematic data, you're looking at get maybe data for agriculture, data for health, data for energy, data for education, and the various sectors. So you'd have these you'd have this data organized in groups within ArcGIS Online. Then for each of the group that you actually want to appear within the open data site, that group has to be enabled for open data site access. We'll be looking at this shortly as I take us through how to be able to create an open data site. Then of course, once you have created your data and you have published all the necessary data sets, then the other bit is now to be able to share that open data site so that the public can be able to engage with the site. So the last step is being able to share your open data site so that members of the public or different stakeholders or people interested in acquiring different data sets can be able to access that data. So it's actually a 3-step workflow: being able to configure the open data site on ArcGIS Online, being able to prepare and manage data in the various groups, and then finally, once that is done, being able to share the open data site. So that's the step or the workflow that we are going to take. So I'm going to take us through a very brief demonstration on how to be able to create an open data site on ArcGIS Online. Then I will hand it over to Matthew, who will take us through a case study of what they've been doing with the Kenya Open Data Initiative. So just give me a minute to just share my screen. So I'm now going to my ArcGIS Online account. As I mentioned, this open data site is on ArcGIS Online. I hope you can be able to see my screen. Are you able to see my browser? Okay, let me just reshare that again. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can, Evelyn.
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you. So this is ArcGIS Online. As I mentioned, the ArcGIS Open Data Site is part of ArcGIS Online. So for you to be able to create an open data site, you'd have to start from ArcGIS Online. So go to your browser, just search for arcgis.com, then you'll be prompted to sign in to your ArcGIS Online account using your credentials. So for this particular one, I had already signed into my ArcGIS Online account, but you'll get such an interface just asking you to sign into your ArcGIS Online account. Then the other bit that I just want to show us is, so this is the interface of ArcGIS Online. We have various components. We have the homepage, we have map, gallery, groups, content, and organization. So one of the things that I mentioned is that for you to be able to share your data within an ArcGIS open data site, you have to have that data organized in groups. So one of the main elements or one of the main sections that we're going to look at is the group segment of ArcGIS Online. So we have this section here and called groups. So you'd have your data organized in groups. So you'd have, I'll just show us how to create a group within ArcGIS Online and how to be able to share data into a group within ArcGIS Online. Then with the same data set, we'll be able to publish it to our open data site. So when you come to groups, there's an option for you to create a new group. So assuming you want to organize your data in themes, in the various thematic areas, so you may need to create groups for the different thematic areas that you're focusing on. So you'll give it the group name. So for instance, maybe the first data set that we are sharing is in the agriculture segment. So let me just call it agriculture demo group. Then give just a summary. Maybe this is data. This is data on agriculture. Then tags just make it easy for you to be able to access. Tags are just keywords, for you to be able to access or get hold of information that you have stored there. So maybe we could have agriculture as as a tag for this, just a keyword. And then there are different things down here that you need to enable. So for this particular one, since we'll want this information to be accessible to everyone, we have to ensure that this group is actually shared publicly. So we'd have to check this option of having everyone access that information. And then you can also restrict who's able to join this group. So for instance, maybe as an organization, maybe there are different departments and there are different people working in the different departments. So maybe you can have the group manager inviting specific members or users into the group, and then who can contribute to the group. Maybe you can only have group members because you want specific information that will be shared by those departments or users within that particular group. And then who owns the items. So members can only own their items, and so on and so forth. Then the most important bit is this bit here that I mentioned, allowing this group to be accessed in an open data site. So if this is the group that you want to be accessible within the open data site, you have to enable access of the information that is in this particular group to the open data set. So again, you may be having other information in other groups that maybe you do not want to be accessed publicly. So for the specific groups where you want that information to be accessed publicly, ensure that you allow that group to be accessed in open data sites, so that information will be accessed online. So once we have created a group, the next bit that I want to show us is how you can now be able to enable the open or rather create the open data site. So under organization settings within ArcGIS Online, this is where we're going to enable our open data site, or where we're going to configure our open data site. So just give it a few minutes. So remember, you have to have configured your data and actually configured the groups and have your data within those groups. So we have this segment here under settings that is called open data. So this is where we are now going to configure our open data site. So for this particular organization that I'm using, the open data site is actually enabled because I have other open data sites that have been created. So in case you're creating an open data site for the first time, you'll need to enable open data. Then now configure the open data site within the ArcGIS Hub admin site. So again, the other thing that I need to mention is that open data is now integrated within the ArcGIS Hub. So this is where we're actually going to configure the open data site. So just give it a few minutes as it loads. So this is where, yes, so we're actually here. So you have when you open the ArcGIS Hub admin site, you can either manage an existing open data site that you have already created, or you can actually create a new site. So there are two options here. You can manage existing sites, like for here I have like 2 existing sites, or you can actually create a new site. Then you can also be able to see the content, all the content that has been shared within that particular site in the last, say, 30 days. So for this particular one, I'm just interested in showing us how to create an open data site. So come to new, and then we're going to create an open data site. So we are calling it maybe webinar demo open data site. Then there's an option of also using the various browsing and using the various templates. Then you can create your site. Organizational account, that's your ArcGIS Online account, for you to be able to have that information actually published to the open data site. So let's just give it a few more minutes. Yeah, and also ensure that that information is organized in groups within your ArcGIS Online, so that we can have those groups within the open data site. Yeah, so it's actually complete. Our open site is now enabled. So you can give it a few more minutes. So this is actually a pretty efficient way of sharing information. So we are finally here, so we can now get started with creating configuring our site. So of course, we've given the site a name. So under the settings here, you can be able to change the various organizational settings. So for instance, you just gave it a name. Maybe you want to give it a summary. So you can have a summary. Maybe this is an open data site for all maybe data sets in Kenya, something like that, depending on the purpose of that particular site. Then there are various options that you can also be able to enable within this particular site. For instance, the projection of the data sets that you'll be using, etc. So once that is done, you may now want to, then you can also change the layout of your site. You can also change the background colors and just customize it depending on how exactly you want that particular site to look like. So one of the other things is maybe you have been working on information, and maybe you want to add some of the information that you have, maybe even as part of a group, or actually totally different information. So you can also be able to share that information within the ArcGIS open data site. So I'm just gonna show us how you can be able to do that. So again, the other thing is being able to determine the sharing level of information. So when you're still creating your open data site, you may just want to have it private. But when you have finally added all the data sets you need, you may want to share that site publicly. Then the other bit is now adding the groups. Remember, we prepared our data and shared it in groups within our ArcGIS Online. So I'm now going to add the groups that have the data sets that I need for this particular open data site. So when I click on add groups, it actually shows me all the groups within my organization. So you can actually be able to see all the groups. So for instance, maybe we are just interested in having information maybe in one of the groups. Maybe I can pick just random groups here. Maybe information in these particular groups is what we need to be shared within our open data site. So you can actually share, you can actually add those groups to be part of the open data site. So once you have shared, once you have actually selected those groups, then it means that the information that will be in those groups will now be accessible within the open data site. So once I'm done, I'll just click done. Then now, when you come to the open data site again, this is how your data will be organized. Your data will be organized according to the different categories. So maybe you're looking at the different themes. You're looking at agriculture, you're looking at housing, you're looking at health, and all the other categories. So in case maybe you need to change the thumbnails here or change the graphics, depending on the different categories of data sets that you have, you can do that from here. You can be able to change the name of that particular group, change the appearance of the icon for that particular group. So you can actually customize it depending on what you want. And now people will be able to search for the different information that you have shared within your open data site here. So once you have finished configuring your open data site, remember, when you're still working on it, it's actually a draft site. So you may now want to publish your site so that members of the public can now be able to access your open data site. So once you are done with configuring the open data portal, you've added all the data sets that you need, you can now publish the draft so that members of the public can be able to access your open data set. So they can now be able to access and query and even search for the different information within your open data site. So it's actually telling me that my site has been published successfully. So that's just simply how you can be able to create an open data site. So I'm going to invite Matthew to take us through the case study of how they were able to of what they've been doing with their open Kenya Open Data Initiative, and some of the lessons and takeaways that we can take from their initiative. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen, then hand it over to Matthew to take us through the case study of the Kenya Open Data Initiative. So over to you, Matthew.
Thanks, Evelyn, for that wonderful presentation. I'm just going to share my screen right now. I hope people can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. My name is Matthew from ICT Authority. I'm going to be taking you through the Open Data Portal and the initiatives that what really bore this initiative, the lessons that we've learned, and the progress that we've made so far. So I'll just begin by looking at what Open Data is, the legal support and legislation behind the initiative. I'll also look at Kenya Open Data Portal features and the benefits of working with us. I'll also look at county open data and where to collaborate. So you notice on my right side, I have a Venn diagram that tries to expose it on what open data is, the open data government, the open government data and open data, and how it forms the open data government. So the Open Data Initiative was an initiative, or rather is an initiative to support the government's drive to be open and transparent, significantly move its records into the digital age, and make this information publicly available through the Open Data Portal. If you remember, the initiative was born in July 2011 by the then President Mwai Kibaki, who was a champion of the open data. And to quote him, he said, "Data is the foundation of improving accountability and governance." Why open data? The open data had a major objective of ensuring that core government data, ranging from development, demographic, statistical, expenditure, are available in a useful format to the citizens. That is, we're talking about researchers, policymakers, developers, who are looking at having data and analyze them in different formats. There's a lot that can be gained by sharing data, which promotes accountability, makes citizens true participants in government, and fosters innovation among innovators or the public. And so I'll just go into my support for the initiative. What are we saying? We're saying the Constitution of Kenya, Article 35, held by the state. So the open data is clearly supported by other documents that support legislation was the Access to Information Act of 2016 and Data Protection Act of 2019. The guiding principles of open data, we are looking at these principles are what eliminate barriers to access data information and build public perception and confidence. We're looking at having data that is time, having data that is granular, complete and in bulk, and analyzable. I'll get back to that slide. We're looking at having data proprietary, having discriminatory data that is available for free on the internet, and license-free from permanently available. And the question is, how then we publish data? So we're looking at that. These are the questions that we're asking ourselves in terms of, if we want to publish data, what are we looking at? We're looking at having formats that is either CSV, nature, what are the software requirements? Where is the data stored? Is it equally accessible to all persons? Are the terms and conditions barring the use of and reuse of open data? So the top half relates to what you publish. That is, the data has to be timely, it has to be granular, complete, and in bulk. It has to be analyzable. And the other section relates to how then do you publish your data and the barriers that access that information, or the barriers, the breakdown. So next slide basically talks about what are the benefits of partnering with open data. We're looking at having, currently we have over 970 datasets on the portal. We have categorized the data into different sectors. That is under agricultural, education, environmental, energy, finance, governance, government accounts, health, infrastructure, population, and sensors and water. So those are the different categories of data sets in the portal. Benefits of partnering with open data. We're saying you have access to web-based visualizations and mapping that supports integrated advanced filters, stats, boundary maps, point maps, and queries. Yes, the portal has map features. Map features which shows like the one that is being displayed on the screen. It's a visualization of data from the National Treasury, which provides detailed information about government-funded projects, including funding sources, amounts of funds spent on projects per year, project its location, and even how specific a project fits into the long-term Vision 2030 activities. So the point map shows the location of Kenya, of key projects, and the size of points is indicative of the amount of funding being spent on a specific project. We also have a chart support, which provide different kinds of charting experiences possible for all datasets on the portal. Everything from bar charts, stacked and stacked pie charts, donut line, double charts, and tree maps can be visualized. Visualization made on the portal can be embedded back to any websites. And if you have this kind of visualization, we're able to train and implement a few of our data publishing strategies. We also look at having user views, allows counties to be part of the community. The user view section allows you to see what other Kenyans and other people are doing with their data sets, or what other insights do they find. Yeah, so it's just a matter of seeing what other users are doing with their data sets. So in terms of counties, we are looking at having data from counties. So what we've done here is we've categorized them per region, that is from coastal, northeastern, eastern, central Rift Valley, western, northern Nairobi. And then under each region, then you can find the specific counties. Yeah, that is the various counties within the region. So it's just a matter of more or less having county data on the portal. So where can you collaborate? For us, we look at having building linkages with the various ministries, counties, departments, and agencies, so that we can at least have, we're trying to build a push strategy in terms of data collection, whereby all these agencies are the ones who will be pushing data to us. So we are saying we need to collaborate in terms of assigning a contact officer. Probably you can work with us on your data release guidelines, and you can support the open data through, you can build tools or dashboards to visualize your information, and you can access the availability of open data. Yeah, so that's basically a high level presentation of what open data is all about, and what bore the initiative, what data sets we have, the categories that we have on the portal. We also looked at the benefits and the areas of collaboration. So that's basically it. Probably I could just do a small demo on the portal itself. Then from there I'll hand it over to Evelyn. Yeah, so I'm going to give a demo on the portal. So this is basically the user interface of the portal. We have county data, which is from the categories, that is coast region. We have Mombasa, Kwale, Kilifi, Tana River. Northeastern, we have Garissa, Wajir. Central, we have Nyandarua, Nyeri, Kirinyaga, Murang'a, and Kiambu. Nairobi, and then we have Digi School, which highlights these are data sets on the current installation of current status of schools that have been installed with the digital literacy program. Then I'll go straight to the categories, the ones that I was projected before initially. We have agriculture, education, environment, energy, health, governance, infrastructure, population, water, and the other categories that are still there. So this is just the open data itself in terms of so if you open one category, you're able to see the data sets under that category. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So Evelyn, probably you can take it over from there, because mine was just to showcase the open data and the features that are there, and the sectors and the data sets. Evelyn.
Thank you so much, Matthew, for taking us through that presentation and even just showing us what we have within the Kenya Open Data Portal Initiative. And I think it's also good that you have indicated you're open to collaborate. And I think we have different stakeholders within this particular call. So thank you so much for that. I think we are now going to open it up to questions and comments from the attendees. If you have a question or a comment, I think we can now take questions and comments.